Hi, everyone. I'm really excited to be here, and sorry, my voice might be a little bit tired because I was really excited in the last 2 weeks, and I was actually awake till 4 in the morning. It was not the first night. A lot of interesting things are happening with agents, and like I'm still learning about it. So I'm so glad to be here, like one more year with amazing Vue ecosystem that started to grow, like everything that we built in Nox ecosystem, everything we did with Vue ecosystem, with Vite ecosystem, all coming together into something greater and greater every year. And well, again, yet another year. I'm so glad to introduce and share some more updates about Nitro. I'm Pooya Parsa. I'm creator of Nitro on JS and H3 framework. They are more backend servers and more focused on the server toolchain in Nox and rest of the ecosystem, but they are really relevant, I think, nowadays to Vue. Let's start. I'm going to first introduce what we have built in last year for Vite plus Nitro, how we revolutionized Nitro into something way, way smaller, way faster, and way better to be integrated into different workflows. And we just yesterday announced version 3 beta. It's ready for public testing. I really recommend you to read the blog article to see what we have changed. And quickly before going to the really exciting stuff that actually I tried to make a demo of it for Vue today, I'm trying to introduce some of the things that introduce and how you can use Nitro actually in your Vite applications together with Vue. So imagine you have a pretty normal application with Vite. Usually you import the configuration, you add some plugins for React, or for Vue, for your favorite framework, and it makes an optimized server client that you can deploy. And in development time, you have HMR and everything. But what if you want to have a server? There are multiple ways of doing it. You can use a separate backend like PHP. You can use Express. You can deploy different places. You can use meta frameworks that actually wrap Vite, or like most of the meta frameworks actually wrap Vite, so there is no other options. You can use them, that they do some dark magic to make it possible to add a backend or some API routes to your server. But many of the times, you just need a simple API. You need to add some API routes for your backend. Even if you have a dedicated backend for your frontend, you need a backend for frontend. You need some caching. You need to reshape the API points. So in many cases, you need some sort of backend. And you need to also make sure that this backend can deploy anywhere. Like, it can work in a Docker container. You can deploy it to one of the managed platforms like Vercel or Cloudflare. And it should work consistently. With Nitro, it's now super simple. Like, we just have one Vite plugin, you add it to Vite, and it would become full stack. From SPA to full stack, it's just one plugin. You can have just Nitro itself as a plugin. So you have basically a deployment to everywhere. You have SSR. You have base integrations. And you can also use Nitro for adding server stuff. Before, in Nitro version 2, it was kind of based off the framework, but now it's completely opt-in. If you need API routes, you just add a server config. And that's all. It's a full stack application. Also, we spent a lot of time to refine what is simple. And simple is the hardest thing. The simplest API, how you can add an API route without having like complex context, without returning complex responses, without like doing this crazy stuff. Sometimes you just need an API route that just returns a mock response. It is just a function. You don't need to serialize the response. You can return a file from it. You can return, I don't know, anything. You can return a stream from it. You can return response from a React SSR in a Vue application. It doesn't matter. As long as it is serializable, Nitro understands it and makes something really optimized for production. So that's basically the simplest way to create a Hello World API route after we add the Vite application with Nitro plugin. Also, before, in Nitro version 2, Nitro was tied with one framework. So you could use Nitro with H3, which is super simple. It's really efficient for Nox. Like, basically, if you have Nox, you have Nitro, and you have H3 for server routes. But there are so many interesting frameworks. And to be honest, in the end, they are basically a fancy way to manage your code. They are like fancy wrappers over standards and servers. So it's pretty much an opinion. And we really wanted to make sure that if you have an opinion, if your team already is familiar with Express, with Hono, with Elysia, whatever framework is there, it's as simple as possible to just add it to the Nitro workflow. And that's it. You don't even the configuration. We introduced a super simple concept called server.ts. You can add it to your project. You can export any framework from it. It could be a web standard framework, which like 3 of them are like probably the best recommended ones today. And the only requirement is that these frameworks export a fetch function, which all these 3 standard frameworks exported. So it just works. Alternatively, you might have some frameworks that are based on legacy Node.js APIs like Express and Fastify. They are great, but in the new ecosystem, everyone is moving to the web standards, and they are a little bit lagging behind. So we spent a lot of time and research to make a full compatibility layer, and that is so fast, that can wrap these frameworks. And actually, this wrapper is like a pass-through. So even though everything is based on web APIs, we can still use this framework. So if your team is already having an Express application, you can upgrade it to a modern server. You can add like our other API routes, but also your entry could be just a server Express application. You have best of both. You have like a Node.js compatibility layer, which is almost close to native, and you can also start adding web APIs. The only difference is that you need to add like a Node suffix, so we know that we need this conversation layer to convert a Node.js application to a modern web application. Also, server-side rendering. I mentioned Black Magic, and I think like every conference I'm saying Black Magic because we made meta frameworks. I made it like many times. We maintained them, and to be honest, it is Black Magic. Like the things that we have to internally do to make things just work, the experience that just works out of the box, it's not easy. The reason I was just even into the Vue ecosystem was that I was starting to understand what is SSR. I read Ivan Yu's like examples, how to see how SSR works, and it is complex. The simplest thing is that you need to build the same application one time for client, you need to one time make it for server, and you need to make a manifest to map them, and then you have to bundle everything to deploy. That's basically the thing that SSR meta frameworks do. With Vite, and really thanks to the contributions from Vite ecosystem and Vite team to the new advancements, we have way easier way to do this. So like before, like I mentioned, also adding server-side rendering, it's just one server entry we add to the projects once we have Nitro. It is also a standard fetchable export. You can export a function like the previous one we saw, like a normal function. It could be like a traditional WebEx export. Inside it, we do the simple logic, but this is the magic. This is something really smart that is actually proposed by Vite team, by Hiroshi. And basically, the whole client's manifest management, because before we had to, like in Nux, we have to build one time for the client, then we have to collect the manifest, and we have to make it bundled with the server. So basically, we need a framework to do that for us. But now, because Vite has a concept called environment API, it's like a build orchestrator. It has knowledge about different builds, like server, client, or React server components. We could just use an import query. It's built into the Nitro from the plugin. And by just doing that, we can have this asset mapping. So essentially, if you want to have server-side rendering with any framework like React, I don't know, Solid, like Vue, that's the only requirement. We have to just import the manifest and bind it somehow, like render the headers. And if you go to the Nitro documentation, we have examples for most of these frameworks, and most of them are as easy as this. Maybe React even is easier because like, if you want to have like route matching. But overall, this is the new world. You can make your own server-side rendering. You can make your own meta framework with just a few lines of code. We came a long way. After years, we learned how to solve the problems. Now they are solved at the core, where they belong, like in Vite. So this is the experience with Nitro. Nitro also provides some agnostic primitives. What are primitives? So imagine if you want to, like, if you have a server with Node.js, you probably have to have some sort of file system. You need to store your files, server files. You need some sort of database. You need MySQL, you need Postgres. You need to store data somewhere. If you are going to deploy to some platforms, most of them have their own unique features, like their own key value system, their own database features. And it is a hard choice. Like, you can choose one platform and go with it, but what if you change your mind? You have to refactor the whole code again to make sure it works with the other platform, and you can just try and compare 2 of them at the same time because you are locked into one of them, even if that's super great. So with Nitro, we have some optional features like storage, we have cached handler, we have database. They are like a layer, a generic abstraction layer that they can connect with the providers. Like it's just basically a configuration in Nitro, and by default it's configured. It's configured for the platforms. We use the same interface for them. Like if you have if you want to cache something, it doesn't matter how it is cached, where it is stored. It knows the platform. So it just works. If we convert to another platform that doesn't even support cache, no problems. It just uses in memory in worst case scenario, and it keeps working. Same for database. We have like a abstraction layer for database. So there is like a SQL query, but it doesn't matter. It's connecting to a SQLite, which is by default enabled, or a Postgres server, or whenever we want. And this is also one of the powerful features in Nitro that can help to make sure that our applications are not locked into one platform. We are also recently working on some concept called local dev emulation, which is also important as agnostic abstractions. For so many reasons, abstractions doesn't always work. Like, imagine like there is something very unique to a platform. Like abstractions usually try to make all this together, but sometimes we need to have something especially the platform. And the hardest part is trying it out in development. You want to see exactly what is the behavior when you deploy your application. And using this new configuration that we are introducing in Nitro version 3 is also as simple as just adding a configuration. You say, I want to deploy to a bond server. So in my dev, even if I'm using Node, I want to have a bond-like environment. And we try to just emulate it as close as possible. Headers, the available globals, everything. So you're not surprised when you deploy. And in the end, yeah, you can deploy anywhere. You can deploy to any local runtime you have, your own server system. You can deploy to managed services or like any provider. That's the story of Nitro. Like that was what we had been building for years. That's what we had been perfecting and improving over years. And Nitro version 3 beta is almost the less state of the art. But it's also super fast. It's based on Vite 8 and Rolldown. It's like less than half a second for building a super complex application. It's like the build time is way, way different now from before. But there are new areas to cover. And this is the exciting part that almost 2 weeks ago, I started to think about it, like say, can we do it? And that's the next question. Look, we can build any server. Like there are super simple primitives. You can render everything. You can run it everywhere. You have agnostic primitives, everything. But is deploying the only way to make an application? Like there are so many ways. Like imagine a kiosk in like shops. Imagine like CLIs that you can bundle with your application. A CLI that can run a documentation. Imagine CLIs that in agentic era that like agents are like a layer now between humans, us, and the computers. It's like before we used to write assembly code, but now we write better code. So CLIs really understand, agents can really understand CLIs. They can work with them. If we can make sure that Nitro can be deployed or locally built in a way that agents can use it, just imagine, like it's a new target. It's a completely new target. It's really relevant to what we was building. And thanks to the, like all the abstractions that we made through Nitro, it would be as seamless as possible. Like you can just build a server and just give it to agents. It would be really cool, right? And I started to think like, it's a whole different pivot concept, and like I didn't want to just change the direction of Nitro to just do this. And I was thinking that how much flexible is Nitro today? Can we actually try it out in real world? Can we try to make a CLI service using Nitro that can be a CLI, not a server that you deploy or run? And the answer is yes. And I probably went a little bit too much crazy, and I can show you like the first inspiration why I made it. This was the first time. Sebastian was my friend. He was crazy, and he was saying like, hey, you can just run LLMs in your browser. And I said, yeah, I also had a package from 11 years ago, I think. Can you hear the cat? I can hear it here. So, yeah.
I'm glad you asked. Links. How can I assist?
And everything is in my browser. There's no server, nothing. Like, we went to a very far way. It is also plain a JS application. Everything is in my browser. I can also speak to it. Probably it's not working now, but I can speak to it. It can answer. It can load the LLM model. It's like less than 200 megabytes. It's amazing, right? And this was a random weekend project. I was bored, and I was just trying to just refactor it.
I am Bonzi. Nice day.
Oh, by the way, this is also synthesized by Chrome. It is built in your browsers, in your phone. You can open this URL and just try it out. Your phone is capable of synthesizing different voices, like running LLMs, so many things. We pay a lot for our phones. We're not using it. So anyway, it was like a random project, and it inspired me. Like, I tried to think about these and CLIs and Nitro, and now we are like, we have everything ready. What we can do with it? It was maybe a little bit crazy in the weekend, but I did something. I made an operating system, a real operating system using Nitro and Vite and Vue.js. Of course, for frontend, because browsers are really advanced. Like, I see, like, sometimes I randomly just see open source, like, works in, like, NOM, like desktop environments in Linux. There are, like, legacy JavaScript code that is really hard to maintain and hard. We use Beautiful. We have something really, really fast that can build a whole, like, full-stack big application in a second. We can bundle it, we can optimize it. Why not make an operating system with it? So I decided to try it out, and I think 2 weeks ago, like, I was tired. I just wanted to also try something new. So I tried to trust Cloud to write the code for me, but I observed every step of it. And but actually, it happened. Like, you can open PiClaw.sh. It's actually a real operating system. You can, as you can see, this is not macOS. This is web, but it can run as an OS. It can, like, open a chat window. You can ask it, hey, can you open a terminal for yourself, write code for yourself, and open it in your own browser. You can also connect any model to it. It's really cool stuff. And the coolest part is that I didn't have to, like, spend so much time for making it. It was made by agents for agents. And there is a big difference between these, to be honest, for me. And I also tried to try OpenClaw for a while. I also, I have my home lab. It's not like I'm uncomfortable with CLIs and everything, but CLIs are not for humans, to be honest. I don't like to maintain it every day. Like, I don't want to see what's happening in my server and don't trust what is running. I want to see what my AI is doing. Like, I wanted to have same features of OpenClaw. How many people have not heard about OpenClaw, by the way? Cool. Like, no one. Like, everyone heard about it. And, like, I don't know if you saw the pictures in China. Like, people are just having, like, lines for them to set up OpenClaw. Like, it's crazy. Like, I think everyone in the planet has probably already heard about it. But how many of you have heard about Pi? 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, Pi is powering OpenClaw. Pi is an SDK made by another Austrian guy, Mario. And that's basically the SDK behind it. So OpenClaw is like a nerdy, like, combination of all these solutions together and, like, tied to each other. Like, it's huge, like, thing. It works, but the power is from something way, way simpler, which is like a monorepo that you can build your own agent. And the cool part is that it's fully documented. You don't have to write code for it. It can read its own documentation and make your agent for you. This is how I started. Like I said, like, read your docs, make an operating system for me. No, it wasn't like that, but something like that. I'm going to show you more, but I guess probably just coming back to the code is probably easier. I was also showing it to others later today. Something I learned, like, I tried, like, I don't know, more than 20, 30 times different projects to see how I should use LLMs, how I should use agents, and it was very different experiences I had. And I also tried the skills. Like, to be honest, like, every time it was pressuring me, you have to make your own skills. Like, I would say, yeah, and I made the whole repo. I spent like 2 days for it. It wasn't working even, to be honest. And this line of the code, to be honest, this was the start. You don't believe. Like, this is how I learned. You have to create a memory for your agents because they need to restart the context. If you want to change your model, if you want to make them focus on different things, they have to maintain a context. And there are like tons of systems for memory or whatever. They don't make sense. And even OpenClaw is also adopting this system. They have their own documentation in simple markdown files. So when I started to work on this, I said, like, the first line, keep your agents updated. And then I asked, hey, please create documentation for yourself for the rest of the journey. And then I said, hey, create a Vite application, also zero skills because it already knows there's tons of stuff in internet. It knows about Vite. Even if it doesn't, it's capable of fetching it about it. I said, set up Vite, add a simple index.html application. I want window management. I want to add Vue. For Nitro, it was a little bit hard because by the time it wasn't beta ready, so the documentation wasn't ready. I had to share the link to it, so read that documentation. But in the end, it found a way, and it made like the whole documentation system for systems. I wanted Apple design. Asked like, hey, do a proper research to see like how is it pixel perfect. Like the UI of PiClaw is almost close to macOS application. You can see like the experience. So it made the documentation for itself. Like I wanted to add a desktop application with Electrobond. I wanted it to have like system architecture, which is super important. Every time you are going to one focus area and you are saying, hey, add an application for me. I want, I don't know, text editor application. It has to know where it has to go. If you don't have these files, and if you don't reference them from agents.md, it works. Yeah, of course. Like you can also use it AI that way, but it's going to take time. It has to grab every file. It has to guess where it has to start. Just imagine, like, if you're a person, every time you're asking them if they don't have memory, if they forget, they have to try to remember. Even if they are super smart, like it doesn't matter. Even if they know like they're super good developer, they have to remember. If you don't give them documentation, if you don't force them to write documentation for themselves, it doesn't work. And basically, this is the concept of OpenClaw and all these modern agents. They don't have complex memories. They just use like simple text file. There's a lot I want to share more about these stories, but maybe we don't have time. But just to show you, yeah, this is like the whole configuration. I see like so many simple projects in like enterprise projects, like they have 200 lines of Vite configuration for nothing. This is enough for making an operating system, and like it's full stack. It has CLI, it has front end, it has back end. We don't need extra configuration. This is more than enough to just add Vue, Nitro, and Tailwind. The rest it can build for itself. Actually, I was reading an article from OpenAI that they figured adding more libraries is more burden for LLMs. Like if they can make a small tools for themselves and they can maintain it for themselves, like I don't even know how the fetching works. To be honest, I don't know. Like I don't have to know. It's just I trust it and it works way better than I imagined. So like it maintains all of this. Like for so many of them, you know, in OnJS we have so many popular libraries. I may have like libraries for CLI, for many other things. I'm not using them because AI is not benefiting from them. It can benefit from directly writing code itself, for small utilities. So nothing complex, to be honest. Like Vue, like yeah, it can't rewrite Vue. Without rewriting Vue, you have to reinvent the whole Vue. Without like Nitro, we have to invent a lot of layers, but without Vite, we don't have a build system, but it's, to be honest, it's more than enough now to build anything with this stack, just this tree software. Yeah, it can make its application, it can make prompts. By the way, let me run it for you. Did anyone try it yet? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. It's super exciting. Like you can also run the command. It's just, it seems like a big thing, but if you just run this command, it runs your operating system. Yeah. Make it full screen. It also has a feature called sandboxing. So agents, agents are like loops. They run a model. They have tools for reading and writing files and executing commands. And OpenClaw is unsecured by default, right? Because it's super cool to give the whole access to your system, but then what happens if it does something bad? So I think the first part was that, actually I did it last part, but the first part was that add a security layer, add a sandboxing layer. So if you are going to run your agent as like a Twitter account manager, you can sandbox it. It can't do everything it wants, but it is on memory, not modifying your system. Pi is super intelligent. If you probably tried OpenClaw, I don't know how much you heard about like all the features it has. That it has connectors for OS providers, which are based on subscription. It supports like token keys. It's not easy to understand it. Even myself, I spend like, I don't know, 1 hour to understand what even models it supports. You have a lot of models. And by the way, all of these are generated by AI, and the data is coming from PiSDK. So it's just like a package. If you want to make your own agent, if you want to make your own operating system, you can just use PySDK, and it has all these features. It's just visualized well, because I made a framework to visualize it for me. It has its own settings, like we have this also. Visual UI is another great framework that also visualize. But anyway, this is like the setup. So if you start a system like with PiClaw, you just have to connect your provider. You can start chatting with it. Also, this is something simplified, like I see this multi-agent and agent orchestrators, whatever. Bottom line is that we need some groups. We need some agents that are assigned to directories. Like they understand file system and bash. They don't understand anything else. Like, don't overcomplicate it. Like, I don't know, coding agent, like I can ask it, hey, open it in a terminal tab. Let's see what it does. Yeah, it can open a terminal tab for itself. Oh, it did something wrong. Yeah, fix it. It's thinking. Oh, cool. Now I can say, open it in browser. Yeah, they can be stupid, to be honest. Like, but it could just understand that it has to open it in the browser. But let me show you the cool part. Like, what is this open in browser? This is a tool I give it to it. Like, I basically define it using PySDK also again. Just this is how you open a browser for yourself. And like, there is some like system for like it can send a message to the front end. Hey, this is how you can open a browser tab or whatever. But this is the whole concept. Like, we have features for more things. Like, it can send a notification. It can open a terminal tab. It can search on the internet. These are just simple prompts and tools that you can just define for it. So it's super simple with PySDK if you want to do it. Also, I didn't know how, by the way, how to do it. Just it told to me. And you can have like a reviewer agent. You can give a soul to it. For example, you love Bon and review code. So you can make them a little bit biased. I think something is down. Yeah, this is what happens when you do it 4 in the morning. Yeah, I'm not going to work more than that, but the whole concept is that you can do it yourself. It's super cool. I really recommend to read about it, and you can also build your applications using Electrobond. You can make like deploy your Nitro applications as a standalone macOS application with just 40 lines of code. It's like fully signed. It can has auto updates. It's like 20 megabytes bundled with Bon and everything. Vite is super cool. Like, this is only the PySDK. Like, this is happening in the whole ecosystem. Like, everything you do is like a black hole in Node modules. But let me just build it for production. Damn. This is 800 milliseconds. Like, every time I see it, I don't know if you can see here, it's down. I'm super surprised. Like, look, it's 155 megabytes of bundle. And together with Nitro smart configurations that like defines the chunking system, and with fast Vite 8 and Rolldown, like the whole thing, I don't know how much is it. It's 47 megabytes. It's not just PySDK, it's like the full front end, all the other libraries. It's less than a second. I probably, like, you have other projects that takes like minutes to build. This is how impressive the new stack is. And the new stack is just, Vite plus Nitro. Thank you so much for your attention, and hope you enjoyed much.